Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Reverend Laura, and thanks for joining me here this morning. This is that time we take each month to look at the principles that we're talking about and see if we can put them into real, practical application in our lives. See if we can bring about a change in our lives through these ideas that we bring forth each month. So this month we're talking about theme. This month we're talking about peace. Our theme is peace for this month. And we're looking at how we can bring around a greater sense of peace in our lives and in the world around us. And last week I said that it all begins with us, where we have to find that peacefulness within ourselves before we can move forth. And I talked about the practice of mindfulness and how mindfulness is about keeping ourselves fully present in the moment. Now, I'd like to take that a little bit further today. You know, what I've found in my experience is that the things that keep me from feeling peace are my ideas and worries about things that happened in the past or what might possibly happen in the future. You know, when we look at the past and the thoughts that come up in our minds about the past, it's full of things like regret, anger, maybe a sense of betrayal, or vulnerability or shame. These ideas that we could have done something different than what we did, that kind of keep us stuck in this track of feeling these feelings over and over and over again, because they're already done and we can't do anything about them, but they haven't gone away. We haven't cleared them out of our experience yet to the point where we no longer have those influencing us. If we did, the thoughts wouldn't be coming up like they do, and they wouldn't have the bite to them that they do. They wouldn't affect us nearly as much if we didn't have some kind of charge with them. If we weren't thinking about them in a judgmental way, if we weren't regretting them, if we weren't feeling ashamed of them, if we weren't angry about it, then we wouldn't be feeling those feelings all the time, and we wouldn't have to worry about that. But they would be at peace with those situations. You know, going through all of the different situations in our lives, and we've all had them. We've all experienced different things that have brought us a sense of unease after they're done. I remember years and years ago, I used to be driving in my car, and I would be saying in my mind what I should have said in those moments when I was angry or whatever, and I couldn't express it then. So then that thing is going on, and it just keeps on loop in my mind all the time. And sometimes this went on for years. Things that had happened 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago, and I've still got this loop of dialogue running through my mind. And trust me, there's no sense of peace when that's going on inside of me. And then the other end of the spectrum there is the worry about the future. The ideas of what might possibly happen in any kind of situation that we have, because we all have, you know, things that are happening in our lives, and we have to deal with those, and they sometimes bring around a great sense of anxiety inside of us. And I was also really good about rehearsing what I was going to say in situations that I was anxious about. Before they happened, I would rehearse that dialogue in my mind, and it would go on and on and on as I'm driving to the place that I'm going to, or preparing for a meeting that I'm going to have where I think there may be some kind of tension in there. And so it was this constant, never in the present moment. I was either in the past dealing with all of that stuff that had already happened, or I was in the future trying to make myself feel safe about what might happen as the future went on. And so this sense of mindfulness that we practice, this idea of mindfulness, is about staying fully present in the moment. And we can do this even when we're not meditating. I found a very simple trick that I started saying to myself when I would catch myself with one of these spins. There was one of these loops of dialogue going on, either the past regrets or future worries. If I was in that kind of a spin, as soon as I caught myself doing it, I would say to myself, Laura, you don't do that anymore. And it would knock me right out of it. And then on the tail of that, I would find some spiritual truth that I knew that could keep me present in that moment. And then sometimes that became a mantra that I would just use until I got to that situation. Most often it was the simple phrase that we use in our center all the time, God is all there is. It was like, that's the first truth I can go to. I know it, and I have embodied it, and I feel it, and there's like no question about it to me. And so it was just this simple phrase that I would repeat over and over to myself. God is all there is. God is all there is. And sometimes I even had to attach it to a physical thing. So I have these bracelets that I would wear. And so I would just, as I'm driving or whatever, I would just say the mantra and move a beat, because there was that physical movement also anchored it better. And it kept me focused on that simple phrase instead of what had happened in the past or what was going to happen in the future. It took me out of that, and it kept me in the present moment. And so it's just a simple little trick to do that at any time. As soon as you catch yourself, your minds are gonna go. They're gonna run either in the past or in the future. But the moment you catch yourself, the moment you have that awareness of it, stop it, refocus it, bring it back to something else. As I said last week, you can even do it with your breath. Just simply focus back on, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. It's just a simple way of doing that. But adding that little mental thought to it keeps us in the present moment instead of letting our minds go willy-nilly all over the place. So try that out this week for yourself. See if your mind is wandering to the past, or if your mind is worried about the future. See if as soon as you catch it, find some way of refocusing it, bringing it right back to the present moment. And let me know how it's going for you. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you here next week on Keeping It Real. Bye-bye.
Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.